Hello everyone, my name is Ifya, and on this channel I share plant-based friendly recipes with an African twist. I know that the new year is all about healthy changes, so I have a very special video for you. We are going to be doing 3 delicious breakfasts, all plant-based, all balanced, all delicious, that can get you started on the right foot every single day. So if this is the type of video you're interested in, if you're interested in making any of these recipes, if you're looking for plant-based recipes, I mean, basically this is for everyone. So let's get to cooking.
We are going to start by roasting our grains. Roasted grains is a very common practice in Ghana. We roast our grains and use them for swallows, porridges, pottages, and drinks. And since realizing the diversity of roasted grains, I have been using them for so many foods, including this pancake. I'm roasting the millet and oats separately, but you can roast them together. Typically, we roast things on the stove, but today I am multitasking, so we're going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 12 to 15 minutes till golden brown and toasty.
Okay, this is still warm, so I'll let it cool down and then we will make the pancake mix. My grains are now cool enough, so I'm just going to grind them. Oh, it keeps spilling. That smells so good. It smells like nuts, which is strange because these are grains. I am going to grind them into a powder and then we will proceed. So we are coming to make our millet and oats pancake mix. Okay. So for our mix, I'm going to start with a tablespoon of flaxseed meal, a tablespoon of baking powder. I think I'll add half a tablespoon extra. Some salt, not a tablespoon. Just a little bit. Always salt your food. It helps the flavors. Okay. This should be about a teaspoon. Let's see. So a teaspoon is about a quarter of this, not too much. So cinnamon. It's 2 tablespoons of flaxseed meal. Then this is incredibly optional. I'm doing half a cup of protein powder. This is just plain vanilla protein powder. Use whatever protein powder you want. Don't use protein powder. If you don't use protein powder, you will have to reduce the amount of liquid you add into the pancake mix. You can use whatever grain you want. You don't want oats, use something else. You don't want millet, use something else. Just whatever grain you want. I like to mix 2, especially with gluten-free baking. You want to have a mix of grains, not just one grain. I mean, unless you're doing oat pancake, which is basically fried oatmeal. But use whatever grain you want. I will suggest not using small grains, things like teff or finger millet, because even though they're really, really good for you, the issue is that when you grind them into a flour, it doesn't work. A workaround with that is that instead of roasting the whole grain, you can toast the flour on the stove. So you just get a stainless steel pan and put the flour and then just till it's nice and roasted. You can use the same measurements. So yeah, that's a good alternative. So just mix, 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 mix. Then now we are going to put this in our jar as a pancake mix.
The pancake mix is about 4.5 cups of flour mix, which is about 7 servings of pancakes. But to be honest, you can stretch this to about 9, just depending on your hunger level. To make the pancake, just mix the flour with equal parts plant-based milk. So 1.5 cups of pancake mix will use 1.5 cups of plant-based milk. I add a splash of apple cider vinegar because there is some baking soda in this mix. I did not share this earlier in the video. And then I'm also adding some chocolate chips because it pairs very well with the roasted flavors of the grains. Then I'm frying it just like I would fry any other pancake. You can also make a lot of pancakes and just reheat them throughout the week. Great for meal prep. For my pancakes, I like to enjoy it with some maple syrup, some berries, and some plant-based yogurt. This is such a delicious breakfast, a great way to start the day.
So this is what we are going to be using to make our porridge. I have soaked some sorghum and some pearl millet overnight. These things, they can ferment very easily. That's why you're already seeing bubbles on top. The reason I soak them is because it just makes everything a lot easier to cook. Once I blend this should take 15 minutes and it should be ready. Washing my millets again. I washed it last night. My New Year's resolution is to eat more grains, more African grains. So I accumulated so much sorghum and millets when I was testing recipes for my cookbook. So we are finding creative ways to use it. And it's good for you. It has a lot of fiber, a lot of necessary nutrients and ingredients. And it has been feeding people from my part of the world for centuries or even millennia.
Something you'll be seeing consistently from me this year is the use of sorghum and millet. Not just because I have a ton to use, as I've shared, but I also want people to see its versatility in everyday cooking. I shared this specific porridge recipe on Instagram a few years back, and I make it from time to time. Once the grains are blended with some dates, I pour it into a pot with some extra water and a little bit of salt, and then let it cook. I'm also adding baobab here, which is quite common in northern Ghana when you cook unfermented millet and sorghum. They add baobab because of its sour flavor, and it helps to balance the flavors of the grains. It is not necessary, but I actually like it. These grains also soak up a ton of liquid, which means you can really stretch the quantity. Add more water if the porridge is too thick for your liking. After 15 minutes, you have a luscious porridge that has darkened a little bit. The porridge is filling and a great way to start your day.
Putting some of these on them. It looks and smells divine, absolutely divine. It's a nice start to the day.
If you don't want to start the day with something sweet, then here is a savory alternative. I have been making savory fonio porridges for years. It's the only type of savory porridge I actually enjoy. The first thing to do is to boil the soy milk and water. I'm adding a little bit of salt here and then putting it to a boil. Please keep it uncovered and at medium-low so that it doesn't boil over. While fonio is commonly consumed in the Senegambian, Malian, and Sahelian countries, it's quite unknown. They grow it in some pockets of Ghana and Togo, but the average Ghanaian does not even know it exists. I found out about it recently. I heard it's in the millet family and they call it hungry rice because it can expand quickly. So I have a ton of it in my pantry, especially if I don't have time to cook rice. If you can get your hands on this grain, it is a better alternative to grits. Now that the fonio is cooking, I'm going to move on to the tofu egg sauce. So this egg sauce is a cross between a tofu scramble and a egg stew. I started by sauteing some onions in palm oil, but you can use whatever oil you prefer. I am adding a ginger garlic paste that I make ahead, and then I'm just going to let it thaw in the pan as the onions and the oil, everything is cooking. Then goes in some tomatoes, and then for seasoning, I am using a salt-free seasoning blend my mom has in her pantry and some chili powder instead of fresh Scotch bonnet pepper. I was too lazy to chop it up. Once all the flavors have melded, it is time for the tofu. I'm using medium firm here because I like the texture when it comes to these types of dishes, and instead of crumbling it with my hands because I'm lazy, I'm just going to use the back of my spoon to break it apart. Now I'm going to add in some salt for seasoning, and the last thing that will go in is some greens. I really enjoy black kale, so that's what I'm going to be using, but spinach works perfectly fine. Just saute everything till it softens. So I thought I was done, but I realized I forgot to add mushrooms. So I sauteed them separately and then combined it with my tofu scramble. And now we are ready to enjoy. So the fonio finished cooking quite quickly. It thickened nicely. And then to serve, I just pour some into my bowl, add my egg sauce, tofu scramble on the side. All the recipes made today can be prepped and stored as meal prep. I especially love the savory fonio porridge with the tofu egg stew because there are days where you can eat the egg stew with rice or on top of avocado toast. And for the fonio, you can reduce the amount of salt in the porridge so you can use it for both sweet and savory porridges. As always, all the recipes and all these details are linked in the description box below.
Okay, thank you all so much for watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.